talk just a little bit. Welcome anybody that's watching the recording. And yeah, we have a great topic today, but before we get there, we're going to talk about some oil stories. I would love to hear from any of you if you have a story that you want to share. I have been reading a book and it lists lots of the top doTERRA people and how they share the oils. And when Boyd Truman's chapter came up, I was super excited to read everything that he said. He's the one that started Symphony of the Cells. And I did not know that he started as a massage therapist. And that's why he knows the body so well. And he's into putting the oils up and down the spine and getting them into our bodies. But one thing he talked about was peppermint and how we quite often just pass over peppermint because it's like one of the main three oils, use it all the time. But when you realize how peppermint can help the blood flow in our body, he said one of his daily things is to put peppermint on the back of his neck. So if you can picture getting peppermint in to help the blood flow of your entire body, the spine, the head, and it helps with tummy issues too. Then he goes on to say tummy issues and gut issues are where the majority of our problems start. So I just thought that was a great suggestion, putting peppermint on the back of the neck every day. So I'm going to start trying that. I actually do it internally. I do it in the shower in a spray in the morning. So I'm getting it in my respiratory system, but super excited to try it on the back of my neck too. I'm just feeling so healthy these days. And I know it's MetaPower and I know it's LLV, as well as some of the little things that I do every day. So that's one of my new and exciting things I'm going to try. Anybody have an oil story for the week of anything that's worked well for them that they'd like to share? I know we're going to hear lots from Jolene, so maybe I will just introduce her and move on so that Jolene can share her wonderful information. So we got people
trying to get the lighting better.
I know sometimes when you have the bright light behind you, it makes your face shadow. So yeah, that's probably going to be better, Jolene. All right, I'm going to introduce Jolene here. Heather, thanks for joining us too. I have been friends with Jolene now for probably 4 or 5 years. Maybe it's been 6 or 7. I'm really not sure. But she and I are very similar in that we have a love of the oils and a love of sharing the oils. We have large families and we try and keep up with all the children and grandchildren and everything that we do. But something keeps her and I hanging on with how can we help more people and how can we share with more people. And I share a probably more than that. I think Jolene and I have a lot of similarities and we find that we are probably bosom buddies in a lot of ways. We just are toe to toe and elbow to elbow and right there in our hearts in a lot of the things that we do in our lives. And I think that there's probably not a person in my life right now that I would say is my best friend. So I'm going to introduce you to Jolene. She is a dear friend who really puts her heart into everything she does. And I know having the oils help us emotionally is something, it is not my strong suit, but it is Jolene's strong suit. So we're lucky to have her here today. Rhonda, glad you got on, even with grandbabies. Good to see you. Janely, thanks for getting on. And we'll turn time over to Jolene.
So talking about emotions and emotional oils is something that I love to do. And so it's like, I'm really interested in knowing why I'm so nervous right now, more than usual. I mean, I always say I'm speaking. That's not like my biggest comfort zone, but right now, right here in my heart, I'm not sure if it feels like we're going to see where it leads today, because there's a lot of different ways that we can go with the emotions, and several of you on here have heard me talk about them before in different ways and knowing the power of them. And And I'm sure that many of you have stories to even share about the emotional oils and what they've made a difference. And so I'm going to start out with some of the things that I felt like I wanted to share today. And if it needs to take a different direction, just please be open today with what you need, what those who are on here might need, and let's enjoy the journey today together. So I don't usually read when I do things like this, but there's a story that I want to read because I know that I would miss out on some important parts that maybe someone else might need to hear, or I don't want to pass over any of it. So bear with me as I tell you this story. It's called Callie's Story. And it was written by her mother after the events had all happened, okay? Said, when my daughter Callie was 2 years old, she accidentally pulled a slow cooker full of boiling meat down on herself, severely burning her face and torso. Second and third degree burns covered a third of her body. For a month, Callie recuperated in a special burn unit where she received heavy narcotics along with other medications to help numb the intense pain that accompanies such severe burns. 2 surgeries were necessary to place skin grafts on her face, neck, and shoulders. When Callie finally came home, she had to wear a plastic mask on her face and a tight-fitting bodysuit for 6 months to keep the skin graft from warping. As her mother, I was horrified to see my child suffer so much pain. I felt helpless, but Callie was so strong. She's a very strong girl who tried her best to adapt to the excruciating medical procedures, such as having the dead skin scrubbed from the burn area or working through physical therapy. During the many times when the pain and the trauma were too much for little Callie, she would mentally leave us. I could see it in her hollow eyes. The first time I saw this was when the initial burn happened. In those few seconds right after the hot liquid touched her precious skin, she wasn't there. Due to the combination of heavy narcotics and unbearable procedures, she was physically and emotionally numb or just plain absent during most of the month that she was hospitalized. After we got home, it took a while to get her back to her regular life. Callie was just too fragile and delicate. I tried my absolute best to physically and emotionally help her and our family recover from this event, but it was quite the challenge. The months and years went by, and I started to notice that Callie was extremely numb to pain. She was very active, adventurous girl, and had quite a few falls and injuries, just like any other child, but she rarely acknowledged that it hurt her at all. Sometimes it was disturbing. I remember one visit to the doctor for her regular vaccines. Callie lay down on the table, and the 2 nurses poked both her legs 2 times each. I watched her face, and there was absolutely no physical or emotional reaction whatsoever. She was unfeeling. She often got nasty gashes and scrapes, and I wouldn't even know about them until later when I gave her a bath or changed her clothes. I would ask her where she got hurt, and a lot of times she didn't even remember. She was very self-conscious of the physical changes the burn had caused. When Callie began school, she tried to hide her scars by covering them with her hair and coat, or by walking with her face pointed downwards all the way down the hall, so onlookers couldn't see. I never pushed her to talk about it or do anything that was uncomfortable for her, but I gently tried to give her opportunities to share her thoughts and feelings. When Callie was about 5.5, she started to forget what happened. She knew that something big had occurred a long time ago, but she couldn't remember the details. Sometimes there was a trigger that sparked her memory, like the word burn or a fire or even bath. Then with fear and confusion in her eyes, she would start asking, "What happened to me, Mom?" Around this time, I was introduced to essential oils. As my mother and I learned about the oils and their benefits, we thought of Callie. Helichrysum and vetiver seemed like the perfect fit, and we began treatment. I was so excited in the beginning, mostly thinking of the potential physical healing and largely unaware of the emotional benefits. Callie was full of faith. She immediately, I want to read that again. I was excited in the beginning, mostly thinking of the potential physical healing and largely unaware of the emotional benefits. So Kelly was full of faith. She immediately said, I know it's going to make my burns melt away, Mom. I had no idea what was coming. After only a few days of using the oils, Kelly started to act differently. The first thing I noticed was that she started to complain of physical pain for which we could find no reasonable explanation. Every time we would get the smallest cut or bruise, she had major anxiety about it, very opposite from her recent thought, though numb to pain reactions. She cried for hours about tiny cuts or slivers and would say through tears, is it ever going to go away? Kelly spent a large portion of the day worrying about the smallest things. It was almost impossible to convince her to take a bath. She became extremely picky about the clothes she wore. If clothing touched her wrong or it was a little too tight, she wouldn't wear it. The mention of her being burned or even the word burn caused extreme fear. Anxiety attacks surfaced. Sometimes she randomly sat on my lap and just cried. And I would cry too. I finally realized that Kelly was going through a healing crisis brought on by the oils. It made perfect sense. Every odd thing that she was doing directly correlated to the burn or to her experience in the hospital. With the help of essential oils, her body was expelling or rejecting all of the pain and hidden emotions that were buried for so long. We guessed that the healing would probably last for the same amount of time that she had stayed in the hospital. This was exactly right. It lasted 1 month. I tried my best to validate what she was feeling and to help her as much as I could during this time. I learned that if I missed a day of putting on her oils, it was a bad day for her and for the rest of our household. So I kept up with the oils, and the results were phenomenal. After this difficult month, I began to notice that words which had previously triggered a negative reaction from Kelly did not seem to bother her. She had a totally new and positive perspective. I could see plain as day that she was no longer coming from a place of fear. Instead of being self-conscious or shy, she was secure, strong, and confident, a totally different Kelly. As her mom, I can see without doubt that these essential oils gave her such beautiful new outlook on herself and her past traumatic experience. On the morning of Kelly's 7th birthday, I was telling her about the day she was born, and she said, I don't remember that, Mom, but I do remember when I was burned. I carefully asked, and what do you feel when you remember it? She replied in her bubbly, secure voice, let me spell it out for you, Mom. Okay. Words cannot express how very grateful I am that my little Kelly could heal emotionally. So I think that you can kind of tell from that story that where my love and testimony of the oils being able to heal on all levels. And so many times we concentrate a lot on the physical healing that we forget that the emotions have to heal as well, that most of our physical things that we are challenged with have a root base in some emotion that is keeping us there. And it's not easy to even want to go back and address them. Sometimes they bring greater pain for a while as we go back and look at them. But I bet that every one of you could have a story about a time that you faced something that was really, really hard before you were able to let it go and to move on. And in a lot of ways, that's what we're talking about with the emotions with the essential oils, is to help us in a daily basis and to go back into past traumas and to help let that go. And so both are really important in what we do. So
So what was the oils that Kelly's mom used? Vetiver and what?
Helichrysum.
Okay.
And helichrysum is one of the oils that comes in a 5 ml. It's a tiny little flower that takes a lot of effort for doTERRA to get it. But I love the name helichrysum because it just truly heals. It is a go-to. It comes in a touch now that makes it more reasonably cost-wise too.
And did her mom put those on her burns, those oils? Or how did she apply them?
That I'm not sure.
The story.
Let's see, if it were me, I would have probably had her smell them and then probably put them on her back. Or what we're going to be part of today's is when you go to use an oil, like when it's for yourself, feel where you're feeling that feeling, and that's where you want to apply it. And so that would be interesting to know, but you've just challenged me to find out.
Yeah.
I'm going to write it down so I don't forget.
Well, just because she talked about it healing her burns, and that would make sense if you put it on them, but I don't know.
Yeah. Because you can take it internally too, and it will help. It will heal on the outside as well. And so that's, I wasn't prepared to answer that question, but it'll be really, I'm anxious to learn. And I think I know who I can reach out to find out how they would use that for it.
I know when everything is sore on a body, I quite often suggest a spray bottle, because
that was first coming to my mind too.
Yeah, just because you can get the oil in lots of little particles quickly onto something without rubbing it in.
Well, didn't she start using the oils after it's already kind of been healed, like after the trauma?
Yeah.
So I know how she probably might have used helichrysum straight on it because it also helps with scarring and everything.
Yep.
So
okay, so with the essential oils that we know that they heal both physically and emotionally, that just to kind of a list, because sometimes we forget about all the different ways, but they heal the physical body, like the story just told. It's healing the heart. It releases limiting beliefs. It increases spiritual awareness and connection. And it's inspiring, helps us to be inspired with the fulfillment of our life's purposes. So each one of those, you can see we could talk about a different part of that. And so sometimes, like in the story, when they were saying they were looking for some physical healing with the oils, and then the emotion is what healed the most with that, or was the thing that they concentrated on seeing, is that sometimes we don't realize what the oils are going to be doing for us, but knowing the power of the oils helps us to be able to use them. And whether we put them on the totally right way is what someone else might say to do. The fact that we use them in whatever way that we know how to, even if it's just smelling from the bottle, because we know that from our basic introduction to oils, the smell goes straight to our olfactory in our brains and assimilates throughout our whole body. So just if the only thing you can do is smell it from the bottle, then that's powerful. If you can place it where you're feeling that emotion, because we're talking about emotions more, where you're feeling that, like my main place is just right on my chest. But sometimes I'll feel it like on my side. So when you're having an emotion, be aware of where you're feeling it and use the oils however you feel like that you can during that time. So with doing the emotion work with the essential oils, one of the things that we need to, it's a process of doing the emotional work. And the number one is to recognize that we need some emotional healing. So the quote of a journey begins of 1,000 miles begins with one step. The first step on our journey is to recognize the need. And then knowing that as we address that need, that it will create emotional freedom and mental well-being. Just the fact of recognizing will help us have that strength within us. But then the next step is to choose in. Once you acknowledge the reality of what isn't working in your emotional life, you gather your courage to press forward and hold on the belief that you can heal. You choose to believe and then to set time apart and space to do your emotional work. So once you acknowledge it, you have to make that conscious decision to choose to do something about it. If you don't take that next step, you'll always just be kind of, for lack of a better word, in the complaining motive. I feel this, woe's me. There's nothing I can do about it. This is just what's thrown at me. I have no control. So you can see the power of the next step of choosing to do something about it, knowing that you can. And then it's the action part about making the space and the time to do that emotional work. It doesn't come absent-mindedly, and it can only be put in the cracks as you've decided to make that the time. Okay. The next thing is that it's really important to start small. And the first one is to notice your triggers when they come. So many times we have triggers every day in our life. There's triggers. Some bring us to tears, some bring us anger, some bring us joy, some bring us confusion. So as I start to identify the triggers, notice how they started. I'm really, really angry. So what made me this angry and why? Trace it back. Try to start figuring out where your triggers are. And then by observing those triggers and withholding judgment on yourself, that's how you begin to decode the deeper story behind your reaction. I'm going to say that again. That's like a pivotal statement there. That's how you decode the deeper story behind your reaction. Every reaction that you're having has a story behind it. And be able to decoding that will help that so that when triggers come, you know what work needs to be done.
So Jolene, can I make a comment? I have noticed, at least I said something recently to a group of women, and I said, why is it we have so much more anxiety now, or problems now? And somebody made the comment, it's maybe not that we have so much more, it's that we're aware. And so I feel like everything you're teaching us is to be aware of what's in our lives. And then I start to think about, well, I don't get upset anymore. I don't react. And then I realized, ooh, I had a really stressful situation a couple of months ago, and I did react. And so I live a life now without children in my house. I don't mean to say that children always bring that, but for me it did. But now I'm like, I don't have a lot of upsettedness. But when I did get really upset a couple of months ago about something and I was in a situation, I would have loved to have heard what you just said and understand what triggered that and why I didn't handle it as well as I would have liked to. And so I don't know how to, I don't know how to say what my trigger is. So when you say we should know our triggers, I guess a lot of loud noise was one of the triggers. Maybe is that a trigger?
It is.
Okay. Because
So why is that?
I don't know. I couldn't handle.
Why is that loud noise?
I couldn't handle how to handle it because I was also in a situation where I couldn't escape a lot of loud noise.
Yeah, but recognizing that it is, then in your quiet time, you can go, okay, so why is the loud noise making me react that way? And then back it when you're not in that stress and go, oh, it's because for me, the loud noises take me back to the time when I was out of control, that there was so many things being thrown at me that I actually, the word that I would have to use with it, I felt inadequate. So loud noises now, at this stage of my life, throws me back to feeling inadequate.
Interesting.
And so I'm just going to show you real fast because I took too much time with this, not too much because that story was good. But so now I have identified some of those triggers and those feelings and those oils that I kind of need to have around, and not to like figure it out and work, go find it at the time. So I have this fun display. I won't go through any of the oils with you. I just want to show you that I've been really working on what oils speak to me in different situations that keep coming up. And so I have this down by my desk downstairs. And so when I'm in the middle of feeling something, I go, I just need to go downstairs. The oil I need is there. Though I have all of them in my drawer too, but these are the ones that for this short season of my life are the ones that I need to have a little bit more on hand. So being aware of those triggers, and in a time of more peace when you can think, prepare for them, because they will always come. It's part of life and it's okay.
I like that.
So how do you know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
How do you know what oils?
We'll go through that a little bit. I don't know, my time's up, isn't it?
Yeah, but go ahead a little bit longer. We need your goodness.
Okay, I'm just going to share one paragraph that I wanted to read to you about partnering with essential oils, and then we'll go into how to make your list. Okay, so I'm just going to read this paragraph because I don't want it to. Okay, so essential oils assist individuals in taking an honest look within. They foster the right environment for healing. Okay, they foster the right environment for healing, but they will not do the work for you. Okay. In gardening, it is a common mistake to pull the weeds while leaving the roots. This is particularly true of a hard and rocky soil. So to ensure you uproot the whole plant, you can add water to the soil, which allows the entire weed to be removed. Similarly, essential oils prepare your emotional soil so that weeds may be removed with greater ease. However, they do not do the weeding for you. If you neglect to do the work of pulling your weeds, you will simply have watered the problem. On the other hand, when you combine essential oils with emotional work, you reap the fruits of your labors.
I like it.
So in a nutshell, that's the main thing that I want to leave with you, is how important the essential oils is in doing that work, even though the work has to be done, like using all the tools that you know and that you've learned throughout your life, with meditation, with journaling, with taking personal inventory of where you are, nature therapy. There's all kinds of different health habits and things, tools that you've already got in your box, and have them ready. Add the oils to that, and it will help to completely uproot those weeds. Okay. Okay, so as you can tell, I do like, if you can tell, I don't know, emotions is like something that I actually even do workshops on, because there's so much involved in them, and you see just a little picture and then you go, well, then how? And then it gets overwhelming. It's not overwhelming, especially as you can talk and process and learn as time goes how to work with them. So just saying that this isn't a fix-all thing, that there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff out there. So one of the things that has helped me in finding these oils that I have here in my thing is there's this emotion wheel. Does this look familiar to anyone? Anyone not seen this or have it? Okay, if you don't, you might want to look at getting it, or at least seeing a copy to see, you know, if you would use it. We have several around our house. Even my 11-year-old grandson has gone to this, and we have a couple of oils that he particularly keeps looking for. So he has done that for him. So on one side, it says, I want to feel more, and then think of a word. So I want each of you to just think of a word or a couple of words that you want to feel more what? Raise your hands if you've got some, 1 or 2 or 3 in your mind or written them down.
Focused. I want to feel more focused.
Okay.
And in tune with the spirit.
Okay. Everyone have something then? Okay, so we're going to take focused. And so on this wheel, it has like, on the inside of here, there's like smaller words like being accepted, peace, awareness, empowered, clarity, enlightened, trust, energy, love, comfort, joy, and safe. So when you say focused, which one of those like stand out?
There was one before enlightened, but enlightened would be one of them.
Like clarity?
Yes, clarity.
Okay, so we're just going to go with that one. So see, this is clarity right here, just so we can see where I'm going on the wheel. So I'm going to read you these words here, and I want you to identify 1 or 2 of those that speak to you. So in that, do you want confidence in speaking? Do you want wisdom? More cleansed? Purified?
What was the one more cleansed? Is that what you said?
Cleansed?
Okay.
Purified? Integrated? Sorry. Assimilation? Knowledgeable? Chain breaking? Integrity? Perspective? New beginnings or discerning? Do any of those stand out?
Purified, integrity. I'm not sure. Maybe discerning.
Okay. So then what you do is you spend some time in here. And so then I'm going to read the oils that like correlate with that, with exactly what you're talking about. So, purified, you would use the oil Purify.
It's a blend.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a, was it integrated?
Mhm.
That would be a good one, but I said integrity.
Integrity.
I think you said the word
Okay.
wrong at first.
It's
Jolene.
coriander
Mhm.
For integrity.
for integrity.
Oh, great.
Coriander. And then the other one was discerning. Was that the other one?
Yeah.
And that would be Air X.
Which is another blend.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then the next thing that I would do on that is I would, this is the book that I use. This is the book that I use a lot. And so you can look up, like of those 3 oils, which one stood out the most?
Mhm.
I don't know what's in Purify,
Okay.
but possibly that one. What's on integrated?
So the integrated was, what was that? And the coriander. So let me just because I have Purify up here, I'm going to
Okay.
read. So then I like to go to like what that oil really does. And then I find which one resonates with me. And if it's a strong, so when I started out, I made a couple of piles. what like was a hard yes, what was, oh, that was really interesting. Let me think about that. And then one that was, nope, that didn't work and where I am right now. So under Purify, it says, Purify assists individuals in relaxing or releasing toxic emotions and entering into a cleansing state. It revitalizes the energy system, washes away negative influences. This blend supports individuals who feel trapped to negativity or toxicity. Purify provides freedom from past habits and patterns. It is especially helpful in combating toxic feelings of hate, rage, enmeshment, and in serving other negative attachments. And then it goes into a little bit more. But so can you see how then, as you start to learn the story behind the oils, it helps with what your story is about and how it can help with that. So then on the other side, it has the feelings I don't want to feel. And so like it has the subsections of that would be like confusion, control, insecurity, purposeless, sadness, constricted, overwhelmed, unsafe, fear, anger, wounded, and numb. Anyone have one jump out on any of that?
Not specifically. I was thinking powerless, and probably there was one on there that kind of worked, but sorry, I have to plug in my phone. It says it's dying.
So Jolene, as you continue there, I've put the link in the chat for that actual wheel.
Okay.
And the Aroma Tools link will also take you to the Aroma Tools store where you can get the book and the wheel at the same time. So they're great tools to use. Leanne put her triggers are about having too much in a day. I think we all have different triggers, but this emotion wheel is something we can use to look at and see how we're feeling and which oils can then be tried to help us.
Yeah. So you have the information in the chat, which I encourage you all to go look at. If any part of this resonated with you, like I say, it's a lot of information. That this is just the beginning of where I would start with anyone, because it's easy to understand and get started with. Then go get those tools, have them in your books or on your nightstand or wherever, and start using them. And if you need help, Jolene's here, I'm here. You can always reach out if you want more information.
Okay, thank you.
Such great guidance, Jolene. If I could just close with sharing one more story. I, again, am not as good at using the oils for emotions. I use them a lot for physical things. But there was a friend that I was visiting once, and she had adopted a daughter from Russia. And that daughter was very difficult to deal with, just was not focused ever. And when we did the Itobi scan on her, if you're not familiar with that, it's a hand scan that we do that reads the frequencies in our bodies and matches up with frequencies in oils. And a couple of oils came up for her that I was just clueless. I was like, geranium, I don't know. I was, and because I was thinking physical. And when we opened the book and read what the top 2 oils said for this girl, the mom was just blown away and said that is exactly what she needs. She needs a reconnection to the parents that she lost and to us as her parents now. She used those oils and she said the girl was a different person once those oils were used on her. It really helped her connect. And so I just keep learning. I just keep learning that there are lots of ways to use the oils, and we've just got to use them. Sorry, I'm gonna let you finish up, Jolene.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just my boys were making a lot of noise out there. Just the last thing that I wanted, Emily Wright, owner of doTERRA, one of the partners, does some amazing stuff on Facebook. If you haven't started following her, I'd strongly encourage it. I think she's more active on Instagram, but you get it on both. But she's doing a massive action challenge this month, and it's really quite interesting, and it fits right into where I need right now. And the main parts of it is using Melissa, and blue tansy.
Hmm.
Okay, so what you're going to do is the blue tansy, you're going to put a drop on your big toe. Now, what you guys, why are we using it on the big toe?
The head.
Anyone know?
It relates to your head, I think.
Yep, it's goes straight to your brain. It works on your brain. So put that on your big toe every morning. And then Melissa, you want to, how she's wanting us to use it is put a drop in your hand, put your thumb in there, and then put it on the roof of your mouth. So it's not my favorite tasting oil, but I know the benefits of the Melissa oil in opening up just your mind to healing. So I moved my papers around, but just in a nutshell, the blue tansy is the oil of inspired action. Melissa is the oil of light. You want those two things in your life?
Yeah.
Try doing those things for 30 days in a row. Try it in a row. If you miss, it's not going to make a big difference. But anyway, there's more that you can look at with that. But if that resonates with you, look at Emily's posts and see. She gives you a lot more information behind it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jolene. That was awesome. And thank you all for coming. This was kind of an unusual class in that I feel like most of our classes are about physical ways we can help our bodies with the oils. And so what a blessing to take a different direction and realize that we can emotionally help ourselves. And I know I need that help. I hope all of you learned something today. Thank you, Jolene. Next week, Leanne will be teaching us a little bit about school starting and ways that we can help with our kids start out the school year healthy and strong. And I know she'll have some great info. So thanks for all getting on. There's a few new faces and we love it. And we'll see you next Wednesday when Leanne teaches us. Have a great week, everybody. New school and everything. It'll be a great week. Thank you, Jolene.